Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program.
Hi, my name is Matthew Holman, and welcome to another dose of Subscription Prescription, the podcast where we try to help you figure out all things related to e-commerce subscriptions. This week's dose is the first of a two-part event. I think event maybe is not too ambitious of a statement to make, but we're trying to break down something that I think is really important when we're getting into the business of subscriptions. And that is something actually inspired by something Jay Delwani said as a guest on our podcast recently, where he used the term art and science of subscriptions. And so I've been thinking about that ever since, about ways of trying to explain the different elements of subscriptions, right? The things that we create, the things that we try to manage. And it really does come down to two buckets, really, the art and science of subscriptions. So in today's dose, I'm going to be diving a lot into the art of subscriptions. So we're going to be going through the subscription experience, talking about art, the artistry that you can use to try to craft this. And the next week's dose is going to be all about the science of subscriptions. So taking some of those pieces and how we get into those. So as a brief overview, what I mean when I'm talking about the difference between the art and the science is the art is things that you're crafting. It's things that you're trying to create, it's things you're trying to offer. It's experience, it's experiential. Science is really about testing. It's about looking at the numbers. It's about what you can do to influence something. So as an example, let's say I wanted to create an email offer to try to improve retention. The art of that might be just thinking through not just what looks good in the email, but what might be compelling as an offer. We're going to try to give this away and give this away and give this away. The science would be managing that as a test. What's more effective or not, looking at that, right? So offer could be just crafting some great copy and making sure we're doing the right thing. And science would be validating that and running that as a test. Oftentimes they overlap, but not all the time. So to kick things off on the art of subscriptions, I'd like to first start talking about the purchase experience. So I know for many of you listening out there, you're thinking about subscriptions. You think about, hey, I'm selling this bottle of weight loss pills. You can buy it one time for $50. You can buy it, or you can subscribe and save, you get 10% off. And that is as far down the offer rabbit hole that you go down when you're talking about subscriptions. But when we're thinking about art, we're thinking about what ways we can do that better, what ways we can offer an experience, whether that's how it's purchased, how it's put together, or what people get as an art, as an experience for that subscription. So I have a few different examples I'd like to run through when we're talking about the art of purchasing and why people do things. Now, it should be said, as I said, there's art and science to all these things. So a lot of the brands and the examples I'm talking about, these things they just came up with them one night and that's what they ran with. Many of things have been iterated over time. They've arrived at these things. So don't feel overwhelmed that you don't have something perfect baked out right now. The idea is trying to develop an art around the offer and then using that science element to try to iterate and improve and finding the things that are most valuable for your subscribers over time. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is one of my favorite subscription box companies and a good friend of mine, Battlbox. So we've interviewed John Roman, the CEO and one of the co-founders of Battlbox. And when you look at their product page for their subscription boxes, this is their art, their experiences. When they first launched, they wanted to put a couple of different box values down. So here's like a basic, here's a little bit more expensive with some better items, a little bit more. They have 4 different boxes on their product page. And one of the reasons they're doing that is trying to show value and offer different value, but also depending on the type of user you are, you can pick what you find is most valuable for you. What was interesting is they found almost right away was that the actual premium box was very popular. They thought it wouldn't get picked that much because it's the most expensive. But what they're doing now is they're showing you these different options. You can see some good things, but the premium box just looks too good to pass up. There's too much in that. It's too much value, too many really great things for the price of what you're getting. So for them, the purchase experience art is showing people some of these different options of what you get in a box each time. Also, if you look on their site, you'll get to see examples of everything that was in previous boxes so that you'll be able to see what you could potentially get down the road. So they're trying to create this art around the experience of purchasing Battlbox. Okay, another really common experience that's being used in the subscription space is the starter kit. And a brand that I love and that I've talked about before is called Mixers here in Utah. So if you're on their website, they're doing something that I just think is if you're listening and you're not doing something like this, please do this. The Shop Now button doesn't launch a collection. The Shop Now button launches their starter kit. And the reason I love that is because it's not about, they already know because of the science what the most popular product is. That's their Her Time product is their number one seller. They know that based off of other products they've tried to introduce, Her Time is the best product for people to try and buy first. If they can get somebody to try and buy that, they're more likely to like some of the other products down the road. That's a higher retention effort for them. So the Shop Now button launches a starter kit. The starter kit shows everything that comes in with the box. It shows the bag. It shows the items. It shows a frother. It's a very simple experience. And the idea here, again, is thinking through the art form. Okay, what does a typical Mixer's purchase experience looks like? A friend has recommended it. Maybe they've seen they've heard about it on podcast, read an article, seen a billboard. Maybe all of those things, going to the website, instead of having to think through what to pick out of the different SKUs that they have available, here's how you get started. Try this first. They're pushing that a little bit and making that option very simple, eliminating the choice, the paralysis choice, so that you try this, right? So that is one experience and art that they've developed. Okay, another great subscription brand is Dr. Squatch. Okay, and if you go to their website, you're going to see a lot of different products and a lot of different ways to purchase. But I want to highlight something that is also another really growing and strong trend and another art form related to how people can buy subscriptions, and that's this Build-A-Box experience. So if you want to, you can click on Build-A-Box basically on their website, and it's going to start giving you options of different soaps you can pick from, depending on how your predilections go. There's a lot of really fun options on there. Again, if you've never been on the Dr. Squatch website, please just go check it out. It's so much fun, so many different scents and flavors of soap. You're going to start step by step choosing what you want to put into a box. You're going to build that box experience. So again, this is a little bit different than, say, the Mixers experience that I just explained, where you're saying, hey, here you go. This is what you're starting with. The Dr. Squatch one is a little bit more like, hey, you want 6 soaps? Great. Pick one here, pick one here, pick one here. Oh, don't forget about this upsell option. This goes really, really well with your soap. Okay, and then boom, check out, you're done. It's a different experience, but the art form here is giving people more control, right? When you're trying to sell all these different scents, you want to give people the option to be able to pick what scents they want to put into their subscription box. If you only picked, like, say, your top 6 most popular scents and said, hey, here's a subscription box with just this 6, maybe you're losing out on people that only like 4 or 5 of those, and they would be more valuable or stick around longer if they could choose what they want. And you can swap those out over time as well. We're going to get more into that subscription experience as well. But the idea is you're offering people control, right? And so that's that art form of, hey, here's some control. Here's letting you build, choose your own adventure, right? So those are a few of, and I've got one more that I want to get into too. Quiz. Right. So a brand that I recently worked with and a product that I ordered and love is called Breakaway Matcha. They sell matcha tea. The founder, Eric, was over in Japan for many years as a chef and sourcing matcha. If you go to their website and you take their matcha quiz, they're going to ask you lots of different questions about different tastes that you like, whether you've tried it before. They're essentially trying to walk you through this matcha experience. And depending on your options, they're going to recommend products that you should try because they have a lot of different matcha flavors available to you. And if you're a beginner, here's a starter kit that you can try as well. But the idea behind a quiz is you're trying to collect more information, but you're also trying to guide your potential buyer down a path of finding what's going to fit best for them. Right? I've talked a lot about quizzes in the past, but that's a different type of experience. And that is, in a sense, a form of art of trying to elicit the information you want so that you can make a more compelling offer and know more about your buyer. But also, buyers in many instances like this type of engagement because you feel like the brand is starting to listen to you and pay attention to you, right? So those are a few of the different types of purchase experiences that are available in subscriptions right now. Whether we're talking a subscription box and positioning different options, a starter kit, a build a box or build a bundle, quiz options. I do think even for a typical product page or landing page, when we're talking about an offer, the art form there is still always going to be around trying to show somebody what they can get, what you're going to include. The art is always going to come down to that offer. And yes, on the science side, we can test what those different things are all the time if we want to. But thinking through the experience, what's really important here? Is there an education component? Is there some kind of thing you need to make sure that the person understands about what's happening with that product or that subscription? That is part of the art of a subscription experience. Okay, going through further down the subscription experience and talking about the art form and what we're building, like let's think through some of these other steps or stages in the game. So we have post-purchase, we have in-cart options as well, I should say, before post-purchase. So if you think about, say, let's use the Breakaway Matcha as a great example. So you go through a quiz, you find the matcha flavor that is right for you, you add that to cart. You're going to see an upsell offer right in the cart asking you, hey, add this frother to your set, or try this other flavor to go along with it, or here's a ceramic mug that makes the drinking experience a little bit more powerful, or that ability just to add the right item. A brand that I was talking to and working with very recently found some immediate success in just simplifying that upsell experience. Instead of just using whatever the dynamic features are, is, hey, I know that if you're buying product A, B, or C, that products C, D, and E go best with those. And that's all I'm going to put in the in-cart upsell. I'm not going to list 50 things. I'm going to list just a few different simple options that I know enhance this experience, right? So, for example, if we're selling for a protein powder, right? And somebody's picking a weight gain protein powder. Well, hey, upsell. Here's creatine. This is going to help you put on more muscle mass, increase water, get more reps in your workout, that kind of thing, right? So that can also be part of the art. And yes, the science element there too is that being able to test those things. Post-purchase, asking questions related to why they bought. Again, this is something that I see so many times, time and time again, that the post-purchase experience is about attribution. Hey, where did you first hear about us? Was it this ad? Was it that ad? Those are all great. I get why those need to be asked. I'm not saying you should stop asking those. But part of the art of a great subscription experience is starting to understand more about the user, about the person who's coming through. Have you ever tried a product like this before? Is this new to you or not? What are you excited about? What are your goals here? What are you trying to make happen? Starting to ask those types of questions starts to improve the experience. And what you're able to do with that is actually build a better, both on the science and the art side, subscription experience. So I've used this example time and time again, but let's use the protein powder one, for example. You're selling protein powder, asking somebody, hey, is this for, are you going to use this as a meal supplement? Is this for health? Is this for bone health? Is this for muscle building? Are you training for something? Asking some of those different options, you're going to start to gather more information on the types of things that are important to your subscribers, right? So you can use that to test different offers on the science side, but that also can allow you to craft a better piece of art when it comes to a subscription. What is included in that subscription? How you're talking to those people, how you're trying to onboard them, welcome them, demonstrate value is going to be influenced by information you get out of the post-purchase survey. The next stage of the subscription experience, and we're talking art and science, is really the email or the onboarding experience. So I do see there are plenty of brands that are doing this, but this is also an opportunity point when I'm working with subscription brands to say, hey, let's start spending a little bit more time here. It doesn't take a lot of work to write out some good emails. Thankfully, it's not like, say, like designing and sourcing and doing all these things, trying to overhaul the entire website. And while it's maybe difficult to point at immediate revenue opportunities from an onboarding email sequence because you shouldn't be selling, you should be giving as much value as possible. This is one of those things that's where I'm saying the difference between the art and the science comes in is this is a good experience to build out. It should positively influence retention for the science side, but this is an art. We want to start onboarding people to how the product works. What makes it different? Why is it going to be valuable? We want to demonstrate those things. So if you think about within the world of subscriptions, I know that we're all worried a little bit about when that order notification comes out. Hey, your order's about to process in 2 days. That can prompt a lot of churn or cancellations, right? And if you start marketing too heavily, I know a lot of brands are worried about this because I talk to them all the time. If you market too heavily to subscribers, you're worried about them canceling. Okay. And that may be true. That is true at times. But that first 10 to 14 days of the subscription are a golden opportunity to communicate heavily with your new customer, your new subscriber about the product, about how it's going to change their life, about ins and outs, do's and don'ts, right? I mentioned Breakaway Matcha. Like, they've got a couple of great emails talking about what the experience is like making a cup. They're making more emails related to like Eric's background and why he knows so much about matcha and why it's so important, right? It's able to make it very personal because the brand Breakaway Matcha is very personable. It's very like, we want to be a part of your home. And so we're going to treat you like a human being. And so that's the way the emails are written, right? As opposed to say like something with Mixers is doing is emphasizing like, hey, this is the science behind hormonal imbalances. These are some of the outcomes that other women like you have seen by using this product, right? So there's a different of a balance between the types of things you can say, but those emails can be very, very critical in establishing trust and experience, and as part of the experience, as part of this art of helping people understand more about the product, why it's valuable, how it's going to work for them, right? So again, if you think about all the most important touch points, purchase experience, that's critical, right? When people are starting to get emails, I was telling a brand just today, before recording this, that the upcoming order notification email is a huge opportunity as well. The tracking email, excuse me. The upcoming order notification email should be improved, just period. In fact, I'll talk about that in a second. But the initial tracking email that you send out, hey, your order's on the way, here's your tracking number, that gets 80, 90% open rates typically. Most people don't do anything with it, right? So you could actually you could invest just a little bit of time making that on brand, maybe adding a little value there, or even an upsell option as part of that. For upcoming order notification emails, when we're talking art, again, most standard emails when they're coming out is letting you know, hey, Joe, you've got an order that's set to process in 2 days. Please click here if you'd like to make any changes. Here's what's in your order. Oh, by the way, here's a couple upsell stuff. Part of this art that we're talking about with subscriptions is trying to build just a little bit of a better experience, one that's speaking to them, hey, as a valued subscriber, right? Hey, Joe, as a valued subscriber, we want you to know we care about you having the best subscription experience possible. If you need to make any changes or updates to your order, you can do so here, right? That's a step up from the standard option. But when we're thinking through like from a brand perspective, right? What else can we add? Can we make it a little more flavor, a little bit more on brand for who we are and what we're selling? That can be also a powerful way to just an additional touch point to remind somebody about what's valuable about your product, about how you care about them and the outcomes that they're going for as an opportunity. Now, one of the things that I think also that is just absolutely critical to a great subscription experience, and when we're talking art, is the unboxing experience. Now, I want to slow down here a little bit and just say that I think that some of the best unboxing that I've ever seen is in the beauty space. As a guy, I don't necessarily buy a ton of beauty products, but from some of my work and my research over the last few years, I have seen, if you buy something from Ulta and how you're opening it, it's just different, right? So I'm not saying that the unboxing experience has to be like with the fanciest tissue paper and molding so that the product is just sitting right there. I'm not talking about that when I say unboxing experience, although it may be that is part of the art that you want to develop, okay? What I'm talking about is this initial interaction with the product What is the first thing this person sees? What is the first thing this person is thinking and experiencing? Do you have a product that is a tool or an item that needs to be used? And you need to explain to somebody how to use it, right? What it's going to be like, right? I think that the best products have something that shows like an immediate impact, right? So like if it's a gel or a skin cream, you're able to just put it on right away and feel it working. Sometimes supplements can be a little bit harder because they can take time to feel effects. But if that's the case, that's something you should be building into that onboarding email series. And something that should be part of the unboxing experience is explaining to someone, hey, people that take these supplements typically start to feel different around day 6 or day 12 or something like that. Or, hey, it's really important you put this in a place where you're going to remember it every morning because that's the perfect time to take this, right? A couple of unboxing experiences that I want to talk about as great examples is the first one I'm going to start with is Breakaway Matcha, because again, I ordered from them recently, and again, this is a brand that's sourcing matcha from Japan. The founder spent a lot of time in Japan. When you open it, there is a bunch of tissue paper, right? You're kind of unwrapping it. I ordered a kit that had a frother, a sieve, and a little scooper, right? Now, I could probably just use a regular spoon to have put it in there, but hey, I'm thinking I want to put in the right amount. And let me tell you something about using this little very elegant feeling scoop of putting the matcha into my cup or into the sieve and making sure I shake it through so it's fine. Adding the hot water, using the frother. It was an experience using the product the first time. So it wasn't just when I first took that sip, it was good. I really like it. But the experience of making it felt kind of like, this is super cheesy, I know, but for me, it's like, I felt a little bit like I was connecting with part of the Japanese culture or this culture of tea making that I know very little about. And I'm not trying to get into the cultural appropriation or anything like that. I just mean for a moment, I felt grounded. I felt a little bit more special than I've ever felt drinking a Coke or making a cup of hot chocolate, unless that's with family or something like that. So that experience is like really powerful, because even if I'm only drinking like a cup a week instead of maybe a cup every day or 2-3 times a day, I'm sure Matcha would love it if I was drinking 3 a day, because then I'd be ordering tons. But I remember that experience like every time, right? And so if it's a product, if it's a physical product, like I said, a tool or something like that, you want to make that first interaction with the product. It doesn't have to be this special, memorable, write home about it type of experience, but it needs to work. You need to prove right away that it's working, or if it takes time to work, you need to be setting that up. That is part of this art that we need to build. Interviewing Lisa from Bumpin Blends recently, she's selling frozen smoothies, and I ordered some of those as well. It was very quick and easy to make that right away and taste that and have everybody in the family taste that. And so making it really simple to get into it, to use it. Again, the powder element, she talked about, she didn't like making the powder because the powder doesn't have the same flavor, doesn't have the same experience. Whereas these frozen cubes, you can drop them in, add water, milk, and you mix. It just tastes different. It does. You taste right away that there's a difference in what I've just had as opposed to something I've tried in the past. And that's really critical for not just that moment of experience, but what happens in retention over time. Okay, 2 other unboxing experience examples. Well, I'll start with one, Crunch Labs. So if you're not familiar with Crunch Labs, Mark Rober, former NASA engineer guy, big YouTube channel, has built a subscription box for kids to try to get them excited about science and engineering. And I am certainly biased on this because my 10-year-old, we have a subscription for my 10-year-old. But the immediate unboxing experience is, first, the box is colorful, it's fun, you open it up, you have all these parts, and it's something you have to assemble. So I think one of the benefits or bonuses of, like, say, this type of a surprise and delight box is you got to win on the surprise and delight, otherwise people are going to cancel. And so that's a lesson you can take too, even if you're selling protein powders. Like, what can you make that feels like impactful right away for somebody who's using your subscription or signed up for your subscription? And so, there's a video, there's some instructions, and my kid just always excited when he sees it. Sometimes we have to tell him, hey, you can't start right now because you're going to make this huge mess and we're about to do dinner, right? So you can do that later, because he's ready to tear into it right away. very immediately starts to have fun and using it. Boom. Okay. And so he's excited because of that excitement every single time, right? So that's a really great experience to think about from an unboxing standpoint. What impact can we have right away to share with somebody? Even if it's that just telling somebody, hey, you've started this journey. We're going to be here with you. A journey to better gut health or something like that, right? It might take months to see like positive effects because of the type of supplement you're selling. That's fine. But can you find some touch points right away that can be impactful and be memorable so that people will start taking it, keep taking it? And again, I haven't been super explicit about this, but thinking about the reason why this whole art is so important is if you think about what is the number one reason you are facing in your program right now for cancellations, right? People have too much product. They don't use the product. They think it's too expensive. People think things are too expensive because they're not using them enough. They don't see enough value. People have too much product because they're not using it, or they're maybe not using it the way that you're not selling it on the frequency that you should be. Like maybe they're using it every other day, but your subscriptions, like they need to be using it every day. But the truth is, for most subscriptions, it's okay to have a little bit extra if you're using it regularly. That's how people feel about it, right? They're not going to cancel something that they're using regularly, and they're not going to use it regularly if they don't start using it almost right away, right? Okay. On the retention side of things, I think it's really important when we're talking the art of retention here that we want to think about how people can manage their subscriptions, right? How easy is it to log in the portal? Are you sending an email message about order notifications? If you're selling something like Dr. Squatch, where people are building their own bundle of soaps, is it easy to swap those options out to try something different, right? So the experience around those things is really, really important. If somebody's bought something on a 1 month frequency, can they change that to 2 or 3? I do believe that most subscription platforms, one of the things I do appreciate about all the innovation and competition in the subscription app space is that this is becoming very much table stakes for how people can manage and make those changes. And that's how it can be for you as well, and how it should be for you as well. But thinking through about those communications and what can you do to make that more engaging and more exciting? Putting something like a gift into the subscription box periodically, right? As part of the upcoming order notifications or something related to that, what can you make them on brand, or adding gifts or discounts, something that makes that experience, but it should be relevant to the experience overall. I think one of the really just amazing examples of a couple of things that are happening is when we interviewed John Roman with Battlbox, talking about this idea of how they gifted out an experience where you could fire a tank, right? So they're selling survival boxes, survival gear, outdoor gear, and that was a retention play. It wasn't an acquisition play. They did not open it up to new customer to try to get new customers. They created a cutoff point, and everybody who's a subscriber from this point is eligible to win. And that, as a retention play, they didn't go into that with all this science backing. Hey, if we can give away the ability to fire a tank, it's going to boost our retention numbers by 20%, right? They wanted to figure out a way to reward everybody as part of like their 100th shipment, their 100th box after they've been around for a while, right? That's definitely an art form of building that type of experience, that type of gift or giveaway. Crunch Labs is doing something similar with like this platinum ticket. They're giving away a certain number of tickets periodically, and winners get to fly out and hang out with Mark Rober in his massive lab. And again, if you've not seen his YouTube channel, you know, or if you have seen his YouTube channel, you know what I'm talking about. It's a really, really cool place, Kid Paradise. So the art of retention doesn't just have to be a gift and insert. There can be more things. There can be community. There can be retreats. A tea brand that I was following for a while, as part of like a membership benefit or perk, is that you can opt in to travel with them overseas on a sourcing trip for tea as part of their tea house membership. So thinking through how that's going to work. When we were interviewing Jay Dolwani about Wink, his time there was part of that experience was making it really adding more wines as SKUs to the catalog so people had more choice. So it's like, yeah, you pick the wines you want on your subscription, but you want to be able to try other wines. They knew that was part of the experience that customers cared about. So they tried to build this art, this experience that would match what customers really needed and wanted. And that's really kind of like the trick with all of this is you come in with the assumption around what people want. You start selling things, you start getting feedback. What can you do to make this experience better? Some of that's going to be data back, driving you to make those types of decisions, but a lot of that is going to be experiential and feedback from your customers and kind of doing something in a way that's going to stand out, that's going to be valuable and memorable. And that's the art of subscriptions. Okay, that's it for this week's dose, the art and science of subscriptions. This was part one of a two-part event. We've talked primarily about the art of subscriptions. Next week, we're going to talk more about the science of subscriptions, so please stay tuned in for that. Also want to announce that we are launching a workshop series called The Art and Science of Subscriptions. There's going to be at least 8 parts. We're going to be doing them every few weeks, virtual, free to join. The idea is we're going to go through different topics in the subscriber journey and getting into the do's and don'ts. The first half of every workshop is going to be something like this, where me or another expert is going to be talking and presenting and walking through stuff. The other half of the workshop is discussion, Q&A, sharing from you and other brands like you, trying to figure out how to improve and make improvements. So please, if you're interested in joining that, like I mentioned, it's free. I will have a link to that in the show notes so that you can register and be a part of that. We're going to be kicking off later this month in March. As well as be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode, where we dive deeper into the science part of the art and science of subscriptions. And that's it for this week.
That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.